All right, everybody, we have a special guest. We have my mother here. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Um, and we want to ask her a few questions. We want to get some real insight. I can talk about it, and I know about it growing up, but let's see what she has to say in regards to Freemasonry. So I'm gonna ask her a few questions, and she's gonna answer the questions. She doesn't know what I'm gonna ask her. She just came up here and handled some business up here at work. But let's go ahead and get to it. So, what do you know about Freemasonry, just on a basic level, without going into too much detail? What do you know about it?
I know that Freemasonry is a part of a cult, which they say they're not. Experienced a lot of stuff in Germany with them saying that stuff is not secret. Any organization that claim to be free is not, because they are secret things that they don't want you to know about.
Okay, and how do you know that it's a cult?
I know it's a cult from going in the building when I wasn't supposed to be in the building, and the objects that was up there, far as stuff retaining to like Buddhist and anything that you're idolizing. From what I was raised up to know, that it's a cult.
Okay, and what else did you see when you went into the what they call the temples, besides the Buddhist stuff and everything? Because let me say this before you answer. If you don't know, Masonry, they present themselves as Christian. When you come into lower degrees or whatnot, they make you put your hand on the Bible, make you pretty much swear on the Bible, but they also the Quran. So they present themselves as a Christian organization, as a brotherhood that's under Christ, but we know that their light is false. So if they are supposed to be a Christian organization, then why do they have these different Buddhist things in there hanging on the wall, or whatever? So I want to clarify that first before you answer that. But what else did you see in there besides the Buddhist stuff?
Well, that's really all that I had seen, besides the books, the Koreans, the different symbols, that made you wonder, is not Christian based. Of course, we knew Jesus had the cross. That goes back to biblical times, so you can refer that. But the things that they have had in there in other different organizations, it doesn't refer back to the Bible.
What would you say? How do I word this? From your experience with Freemasons back then, when you were first exposed to it, up until right now, what did you learn from then that you didn't know, or from then until now?
Well, I always knew, because it was always an instinct. I have 7 senses that told me that it was wrong. And then when my then husband got into the organization, they had to come to the house and ask for permission for the spouse to be able to be in there. So if it was Christian based, why would you have to ask somebody else? Because Christianity is free for whoever wants it. And from now, I still think it's the same way. And I still remember the gentleman, they have Eastern Star. And he said, "Oh, you will be a star." I said, "No, I will not, because I have my own mind, and I'm doing things, and I'm not into no group or organization or whatever name y'all want to call yourself, because I know it's wrong, but that's something he wanted to do." So basically, I allowed him to do that, because he had to get permission from me to even be a Mason.
And That's how they do it, y'all. They have to get the permission. That's where the spell comes in at, because they don't want only the husband, but they want the whole family. Now, I told y'all before that curse had to be broken through the power of Jesus Christ, because they try to recruit me. My own dad tried to recruit me, and my brother tried to be recruited for Masonry too. But he had some things, what you could say, divine intervention, that he didn't go through with it. On the day that he was supposed to, probably go sign up or whatnot. So they do that because they present it one way, but they, behind closed doors, they really up to center some stuff. I keep it real with y'all. From the time I was in the womb, I was being groomed for that. Now, my dad, when he got into it, and I'm going to speak about that a little bit more. My dad got into it. At first, he didn't really know in regards to Freemasonry, but the beliefs of what Freemasonry are really about, that was already in my dad's heart because of how he was back then. In the same way he was back then, according to my mom, according to many people, he's still the same way. Only difference is he got some money in his pocket. Would you say that would be a true or false, since you know better than I do as far as how long you known him?
That's true.
So the Freemasonry was really only a manifestation on a larger level of what was already in my dad's heart, which is why he was drawn to it. And Satan used that bait to draw him into it. In the same way, whatever you are tempted by, that is the carrot that the devil is going to dangle in front of you to try to get you involved in whatever it is. And again, my dad was grooming me all throughout my lifetime to take over his position in Freemasonry and give me his power that he had accumulated from the devil. And then, I become a higher level Mason. And we'll talk about another point in a second. I want to get the rest of these questions. So your personal experience with Freemasonry is because you could say that you were in on the ground level. Around what year is this? Around what year?
19 about 1989, I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, 88, 89.
And your personal experience with Freemasonry is because you were married to a Mason, and you got he wasn't a Mason before you got married, right?
No, he wasn't.
So y'all were married, and then he later became a Mason, right?
Yes.
Okay. And how long were you married to this with my dad? But I'm trying to be, do an interview type. But the person that we're talking about is my dad. So how long were you married to him?
24 years.
So they were married for 24 years. And at what year or, what point did he get into Freemasonry? Was it like first year, second?
You mean like?
As far as how long, were y'all married a year, then he got into Freemasonry?
Oh, no, we were married like three we went back to Germany. I think they started grooming them when we came back here. So I'm saying 1990. That's just guesstimated.
How do you know how they ended up recruiting him, or was he just around because in the military, or?
Around the military, he used to play basketball, and at that time they only had the recreation center over in Germany. So a Mason approached him, and anything that can get him to a higher level of his status, because he liked high status, and that intrigued him.
Okay. Did you witness any, what we would call, just being blunt, y'all know I'm blunt, any, they're not going to say this, but any like satanic rituals, like you were speaking about before, like something is off, they got Buddha and all this other stuff. What about what can you say about the rituals that you experienced or you saw, or anything to that nature?
I didn't experience any, because once he got into it, and then they told me that things was going to be one way, and that's how I actually got into the building, because of course outsiders are not allowed inside the building from where they basically worship, or they do their meetings, if they want to call it. But I happened to get in there because I couldn't, circumstances, I needed to locate him, and I couldn't locate him. So that's how I got in there and seen what I got. And after that day, I didn't have anything else to do with Masonry. Didn't go, maybe went to one or two of the functions, and then after that, I didn't go to any of them, because it wasn't right to me. It just didn't feel right.
There's two things that I remember. One, I think they may tie together, but I'm gonna separate them. What about the money, the money requirements? 'Cause I remember you saying something about they were wanting money for different stuff, like I guess initiations. I guess the higher he went. Do you remember anything about that in regards to money?
Not vaguely, not that I can put my hand on it. I really can't remember back that far.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Another thing that I remember you had said was, I think like he had went through one of the rituals, and then he came home and he was like getting on you, like you let these folks beat you and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, with the paddle, they had I guess fraternities. They had the boards, and he had got beat basically, and he came home and he was sore and everything. And I was like, why would you let somebody beat you for something that we already been beat for? God paid the price for that. Why would you go through that again? And he said, "Oh, that was just part of the initiation." And I said, "Initiation? I thought it wasn't an initiation. Why would y'all go through those things? If that case, then you might as well went through fraternity."
So there's a connection between Freemasonry. I know this. Freemasonry, Masonry, and fraternities, which is pretty much the same thing. But all the rituals that are in Freemasonry, they are a mockery of what Christ went through. Now, you just heard it from a reliable witness, my mother, who was married to my dad for 24 years, that he went through initiations. And one of those initiations was a beating, kind of like what Christ went through, being whipped and everything. So they also, when you speak to Freemasons, they talk about being born again. Like, oh yeah, I'm born again, but their born again isn't the same as our born again. Our born again is being born again into the Spirit of God, into the doctrine of love, the doctrine of godly love. Their being born again is being born again into the Luciferian doctrine. So how did they tell you it was going to be in the beginning? Because you said when you started looking and seeing stuff that...
Well, they come to the house, basically like, to me, I laugh about it now because it's almost like a vampire. You have to be asked to come into your house. They cannot just come into your house. He told me that they was going to come over and talk to me about Masonry, and that's something that he wanted to get into. So somebody that was higher than him, or whoever that was going to be over him. And when he came to the door, he didn't come in. And I was just standing there looking at him, and I'm like, okay. And then, is it okay if I come in? I'm like, yeah, wasn't it for you to come over here to talk to me? So I look at it now, but I thought now I see it as being strange. I'm like, so you had to ask to come in my house? Because any demons or devil or anything, they really have to be asked. You can rebuke them out of your house, but then they have to be asked to come back in. So that's what they told me, that it was going to be anything that I wanted to know about this and that they would tell me, and I would know his whereabouts, because I had heard about things that you can't find them, they're gone. When they in there inside the so-called temple, you can't get them and all this. And I said, well, I'm not no normal woman, so if I need him, he needs to be available. And the guy promised me that it wasn't going to be like that. But of course, a month into it, when I was looking for him, I could not find him. So that's how I happened to get inside the temple, because I told him that I was going to kick the door in or call back then the first sergeant and stuff. And then with them being all military, they had no choice but to let me in there. or I was going to call the military police.
And going back to the first point that she made, y'all hear me talk about that all the time in regards to witchcraft. They have to get agreement. The agreement is the binding force because of your words. So when they came to the door and they asked her for permission, that right there, it really had nothing to do with the words so much. It had to do with the heart. When she spoke the words from her heart, that was giving them permission to come in. Of course, she didn't know exactly what was going on then, but we can speak about it in hindsight as God gives us wisdom. And I'm giving y'all this warning to show y'all, and so you can understand how the devils work. They need the permission before they can do anything. And a lot of times, what they will do is they will get the permission, and then a person will think that a curse is broken, but then all the devils will do is they will leave. And then they will come back and they will bring more, and then a person ends up being worse off than they were in the first place, because the curse has not been broken, that spell has not been broken, their agreement has not been broken through the power of God and the blood of Jesus Christ. And so that's why I warn y'all about these different things and whatnot, so you can be up on game and know how they operate. How can you fight your enemy if you don't know what's going on? I talked about that with Stephen Darby. He was doing the same thing in the video when I broke that video down, and I got a lot of flack on that. But that's probably like one of my most, if not my most popular video on YouTube that I've done. I mean, it is what it is. I believe I have more interesting stuff, more important stuff, but you use what God has given you. But I think that's the only questions I really had. Is there anything else you want to add to that as far as your experiences with it and everything?
Basically, just have a free mind of yourself and know that if you follow anybody, just follow Jesus Christ, the word of the Bible, because that's true. Now, 10,000 years ago to right now, the word never has changed.
And there you have it, y'all. So, that was her personal experiences with Freemasonry, and my dad is still a Freemason, and he is, we can say he's more powerful in Freemasonry than he was before, because with Freemasonry comes the physical blessings. It also comes spiritual power, but spiritual power in the devil. And my dad lives a pretty cushy life. He has plenty of money, at least on paper. Yeah, fancy cars and stuff like that. And he tried to recruit me before, like I said. But the reason that I turned it down, well, let me back up. Let me explain it to y'all. He came to me one day, and he was like, "You ready?" And I was like, "Ready for what?" "Ready to be a Mason, Freemason." I was like, "Oh, no, And he was like, "You see all the things it's giving me? You see my house, you see my cars and stuff. You see I got a pocket full of money." Yeah, I'm like, "No, I'm good." He said, "Okay." Then I think he asked me like one more time. 3 witnesses. Yes, he asked me 3 times, 3 witnesses. And every time I said no. And the reason that I turned it down was because of the things that I went through before. When I was making and selling the counterfeit money. I was like, "You're not really offering me anything that I can't get for myself. You're not really offering me nothing. If I want to be a millionaire, then I could be a millionaire, regardless if it's doing it legally or illegally. I had the power and means to do it, because that was the purpose of me making and selling the counterfeit money before, so that I could be a millionaire, so I could start my own business, and so I could live a cushy life and drive around in fancy cars and stuff like that. And, sit on the beach and sip margaritas and sleep with all the beautiful women. So he wasn't offering me anything that I deemed that was worth me getting into it. Now, I didn't know what I know now, but I've always had the gift of discernment. And the Spirit was protecting me, telling me to say no. And then one time, my brother, going back to what I was talking about earlier, he was recruited, not by my dad, but by somebody else. And it was divine intervention, as they say, because the day that he was supposed to go meet with, it was a friend of the family. He was going to go meet with a friend of the family to see what the Masonry was all about. My brother got into it with his baby mama, and his baby mama threw his phone in the river. Yes. And he didn't have a phone to get in contact with the guy. And this was after the fact that my brother told me this. When we was talking and everything, he told me this story when I was telling him about Freemasonry and what it was really about, and my experiences with it, as far as what my mom told me and stuff, and the stuff that I picked up on. And then he told me that story. My brother is very, very bright, makes dumb decisions when he has no reason to, because of the things that I went through, the things that he's went through. But I'm still praying for him. And again, he told me about his experience and stuff, and we were talking, and I started dropping that wisdom in his spirit, in his heart. And then a while back, I got my brother on as a cook, short order cook, at the place that I have the contract at for the cleaning. Now, I used to cook for them for probably like 2 years. It started out as like a fill-in position, and then because, when I do something, I try to do the best. I put my best foot forward, as they say. I'm a pretty good cook, if I don't say so myself. My mom taught me pretty well, and I picked up what I needed to learn, and I'm still learning different things to be able to cook and the food be good. Because everybody that's a cook, they know the purpose of you cooking is for the food to be good, because you want people to enjoy it. Cooking is a passion. Cooking is a form of expressing your love. So when I cook, as I say, I put my foot in it, which you think about as kind of like a bad saying, but hey, it is what it is. I was cooking short order back here, and they saw that I was doing a good job. I was putting the effort in to make sure the food was good, going above and beyond. And so I ended up back there doing short order cook for, we can say, 2 years. 1 year completely, and then I stopped because I got tired of it. And then another year they brought me back, and then I ended up getting tired of it. And then I brought my brother in. Then my brother took over. And what happened was, my dad came back there one day, came back to the kitchen one day. He was talking to my brother. And my dad was, I guess you say, drunk. Those spirits were coming out of him. And he told my brother, this is a story my brother told me. He said, yeah, one day you'll be like me. One day you'll grow up and be like me. And then my brother has animosity toward my dad because my dad spent more time with me than he did with my brother, who is younger. And so my brother, he feels some type of way about that. Still to this day, he has those seeds of hatred and resentment. So y'all pray for him. And it's hard because my dad was not there for him like he was for me. My brother hear all these stories about, everywhere my dad went, there I was. Pretty much anything my dad asked for, he gave it to me. Let me use the cars, stuff like that. But my brother, he asked, no. He didn't really show my brother any love, like for real. And I didn't get any true love from my dad, but it was more in the form that he was giving it. It was more that he gave me than he gave my brother, just to give y'all a perspective so you can understand. And again, he was back there and he told him, one day you'll grow up and be like me. And then my brother responded with, I thought Popeye, which is me, that's my nickname. I thought Popeye was going to take over the throne. And then my dad responded with, yeah, I thought he was too. And so when my brother told me that, it really lit the light bulb. It blew the light bulb, but the light was still lit. Because when he gave me that revelation, that's when I understood that I was being groomed when I was still in the womb, and probably before that, to be indoctrinated into the Luciferian doctrine way back then. And God had it happen like that purposely so that I can go through all the things that I went through and give this testimony. But also when I came out of it, because you can say that I was in it because I was under the wing of my dad. I wasn't a adult. He was grooming me throughout my childhood. I told y'all that I was exposed to things that I should not have been exposed to as a child. That when I grew up, I didn't even know that I was living the Luciferian doctrine, the making and selling of the counterfeit money. That was the Luciferian doctrine. I was indoctrinated to that because of I was covetous. But guess what? My dad is covetous. So he was living vicariously through me, and I had become worse. He had given me over. He offered me up to Moloch as a sacrifice, as a living sacrifice. And that's how they get down to Masonry. I was a sacrifice. My dad, you can say, he sacrificed me. You can say my mom too, ignorantly, but she still did it. My dad more so because he's the head, sacrificed me to Satan for power. Now, Satan is mad because I got saved. So Satan is still looking for that sacrifice. He's still going to require that of my dad because my dad made an agreement with the devil. I grew up, as I said, riding around in fancy cars, BMWs, Benzes, Volvo, when Volvo was hot back in the day. That's how I grew up. Now, I didn't know, but when I look back on it, I'm like, dang. So I look at the totality, I see what was going on. Satan was giving my dad the desires of his heart. And my dad was grooming me because I was the sacrifice that he had made. My dad sacrificed his family for that because my dad is not married to my mom no more. He sacrificed his marriage for the fame and the fortune and the name. My dad has a name around the city. He's well known. And not only did I do that in regards to being covetous, but the women, the lust of the flesh. My dad get plenty of women. Still to this day, 50-something years old, you pull him because he got a good mouthpiece. You know, when you got a good mouthpiece, you look pretty decent for your age, and you got a pocket full of money, and you riding around in Maseratis and BMWs and Mercedes Benzes and big boy trucks. It makes it easy to pull the women. But I end up doing the same thing, pulling the women. Now, my wife would say that I'm a pretty good looking dude. Some of you may say I'm not. But based off of my looks, I didn't have a problem getting women. Even when I was broke, I didn't have a problem getting women because I had learned the game. And so I used what God had blessed me with, and I perverted it. Perverted my looks that God had given me to, as I say, pull women to get what I wanted. So that's what I mean when I was indoctrinated into the Luciferian doctrine, because I was taught it from a young age, but I didn't know. Now I do know. And so, because I do know, I'm exposing it for what it is. I'm being personal with y'all. I'm showing you like, hey, I'm not just talking just to talk. I done been through some things. I didn't experience some things. And I'm pretty sure there were more things that my mom, she remembered that she didn't want to speak about. Or maybe there were things that she didn't remember because she has blocked them in her subconsciousness, that she's put up a wall. Because what God showed me is that technically we don't forget anything. Now, in regards to remembering different things, that's a different story. But technically, we don't forget anything. The reason that we don't forget anything is because when we go on Judgment Day, we will give a testimony of ourselves. And everything you did, whether good or bad, it's written inside of you. It's written in the books in heaven also. So that's why we never forget anything. But again, in regards to recalling different things, remembering, that's different. You ever forgot something and then somebody said something that all of a sudden is like, whoa, where that memory come from? That's because that memory is still stored in your mind, in your spirit, in your soul. It's still there. And so, again, before I get ready to close it out, I was indoctrinated into that Luciferian doctrine. Didn't even know it. But looking back on it, everything that my dad still does today, that's stuff I was doing. And I believe that's why when I got locked up, my dad only came to court one time. He came to court the first time I was locked up, and he never came back again. He never visited me in jail. And I believe the reason for that was because that he was shamed, because he realized what he had did. And he couldn't look me in the face because he knew that I was only a result of what the decisions that he had made. And he knew he had sacrificed me, sacrificed his whole family, which is why he's not married to my mom anymore, even though he says that, that was the worst decision. I think he said that was the worst decision, or one of the worst decisions that he had made was divorcing my mom. And that was one of the times where he had a moment, you could say, where it's like he was being honest and open with me. It wasn't the whole Freemasonry thing. It was just, I messed up. I could still be married to your mama. Your mama was, in his words, a good woman. And but that's how it went down. And he never visited me in jail because he knew what he had did. I was only the fruit of his actions and his decisions. So you may wonder, hey man, that's some deep stuff. And I can go even deeper with it, but we're gonna say that stuff for another time. Do I hold any resentment or grudges toward my dad? No, I don't. I minister to my dad more than I minister to my mom. Because, just being honest, my mom is churched. She's churched. And she listens to the so-called pastors in the pulpit more than she does her son, who is a pastor, who she saw the Lord bring out the dung, bring out the fire. She sees the man that I am today with all the experiences that she went through. She sees who I am today in Christ. And she listens to the so-called pastors in the pulpit more than she does her own son, who's a pastor. And so I don't have too much to say to my mom in regards to spiritual things. I'm just being honest. Because we bump heads. And when we bump heads, we bump heads. And it gets real live, some real live spiritual warfare. We're going to put it like that. And some of you who have been around for a while, you know what I'm talking about, because I've spoken on this before. But my dad is honest in regards to what's going on. We're going to say that. He's honest in regards to that, to what's going on. In regards to, he knows who I am and I know who he is. And we talked about it face to face. because I brought up Freemasonry to him. He said, oh, yeah, just because you've been reading don't mean that you really know what it represents. Oh, I said, oh, I know what it represents. I said, I have God revealing it to me. God is showing me what Freemasonry really represents and what the light really is. And when I said that, he just looked at me and he got quiet and he walked off because he knew. And I ministered to him a lot of times, more times than I do my mom, because there is that branch, or however you want to say it, of honesty there, where it's like, I know I represent Jesus Christ. You know I represent Jesus Christ. I know that you represent Lucifer, and you know that you represent Lucifer. We at war, we battling. And sometimes he will mock me, which is mocking Christ, where, I may go visit him, and then he'll be like, yeah, man, I'm trying to do right. Pray for me. I'm trying to do right, but it's just so hard out here. And then he'll take his phone out, and then he'll go in his messenger, and he'll show me all these different pictures that women have sent him, or women that he has slept with. And I just look at him like, oh, okay. And then he'll start laughing and stuff. So he knows. For I think it was around Christmas. Y'all know I don't celebrate Christmas, but it wasn't on Christmas, but I got him a gift. I said, yeah, I'm gonna get you a gift, because it was around the time I think that I had got my car from him, and he was like, yeah, I looked out for you. I said, I look out for you too. I said, I'm gonna get you a gift. I think it's his birthday, because his birthday is around October. Maybe it was his birthday, maybe it was around Christmas. I can't remember. And so it wasn't on the actual day, but it was around it. And I brought him a Bible. I said, here you go. Then he pulls one out and said, oh, I got one. I said, you ain't got one of these, though. So we kind of like go back and forth. And, again, like I said, I minister to him because he's honest about who he is. And so I can speak to him that way, and it doesn't get heated like it would with a person that professes to be a Christian. But you start to wonder if they really are. And y'all know I'm speaking about my mom. I'm just being real. But anything else I want to say, I want to make sure. Yeah, he boasts about me being a pastor. And I believe I believe there's multiple reasons why he does that. One, to mock Christ, and two, to glorify himself, because he wants to take credit for it when he can't. And also three, because of the shame and guilt that he has, knowing what he did beforehand and seeing that I made it out. And let me add this before I go, because I just remembered it. I remember my dad, we were going back and forth on Freemasonry, and I told him that he needed to give up Freemasonry. And he said that he would never give it up. He would never give up the brotherhood. And when he said that, all I could do was look at him. And I was sad, because I knew that what he said, he meant it 100%. Now it's possible for him to get out of it through the power of God. But in the same way he came into agreement with Satan, God can break it. And he has to come into agreement with the true Jesus Christ of the scriptures. But it is yet to be seen what's going to happen. But I do know this: today is the day of salvation, and tomorrow is not promised. And if my dad died today, he would end up going to hell and burning forever, and remembering all the conversations that we had, all the time that I ministered to him, and remembering that he made a covenant with the devil. So we'll see how it goes. And with that being said, God bless each and every one of you in Jesus Christ's name. As always, stay focused for Jesus. And as you know, truth is not debated, It is declared.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If it was edifying to you, be sure to do your part and share it on all your social media outlets, websites, and forums. Your help is greatly appreciated to help fight this war and reach lost souls. Don't forget to like, dislike, and/or subscribe. Be sure to also check out our website, stayingfocusedforjesus.life. And make sure you check out that resource section, which has a lot of videos that I share and some other stuff. Books, documents, PDF, websites, many things, and it's growing daily as I add to it. Also follow us on Facebook for even more content. Staying Focused for Jesus on Facebook.
Squeeze it so tight, get the last drop, till there's nothing left, until we pass out. Keeping us around to clean up the mess and take the garbage out, but we'll be trash next. Create catastrophes to speed up the process. Depopulation, agenda progress. News tell half-truths, hidden in plain sight. They know with it Kool-Aid, but gave us cyanide. They know we don't see it. They know you can't see it. What they've done to us. Open your eyes. Lemonade. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. It ain't safe for us. They made it so sweetly, so it will be easy to carry their plans out to lemonade. Lemonade. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. It ain't safe for us. Made it too easy while we're busy sleeping. They carry their plans out to lemonade. Voluntarily, they hold us hostage. Pay to receive fabricated knowledge. False education, standing ovation for my degree in indoctrination. Georgia Guidestones plainly tell us that they plan to eliminate us. Conspiracy theory, we see no dilemma as they quietly wipe out billions. They know we don't see it. They know you can't see it. They know what they done to us, taking us down. Lemonade. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. It ain't safe for us. They made it so sweetly, so it will be easy to carry their plans out to lemonade. Lemonade. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. It ain't safe for us. Made it too easy while we're busy sleeping. They carry their plans out to lemonade. Invisible ones behind the scenes, like Geppetto, pulling the strings. Master plan, dumb us all down. Eat what they feed us, try not to think. Carry on, nothing to see as they continue with their killing spree. We wasting time on trivial things.